Hola, aloha. So this is the Recovery Channel. I'm Lakshmi Anand, aka Locks, Goldilocks, um, Dreadlocks. Just remember Locks. Um, and we're going to get into the different types of attachment styles that can affect recovering people and those that love them. So, attachment style is the way that you love. But it is not love. It is the way that you attach. Love itself is, you don't have to be with somebody to love them. And you can, so it's not the same thing, but it's how you express it, how you, um, uh, will interact with somebody. There's four attachment styles that we have right now, and only one is secure, and that is most of the people are securely attached. They are represented 30 to 50% of the population is what different people estimate, and they generally find each other younger in life and stay together. They're securely attached. They don't take things personally. They don't play games. Um, I'm not always, they've got their issues, but they have a good communication style that they probably learned from their caregivers and parents. Um, so they learned how to work things out. And the other attachment styles are dismissive avoidant, which is kind of like it sounds. They're often confused with narcissists, but they're not necessarily, right? Narcissists have those traits where they can just dismiss other people's feelings, but that's what you'll find. It's a protective measure. It's not that they don't want love, they do, but they will tend to push people away, not show their feelings, hide them very well, hide their true love feelings. They can be really in love, but they're going to hide it. They're going to take them a long time to process feelings. It takes them a long time to process being triggered. When they're triggered in a relationship, they're going to process it. They're going to take time. And it's really important that they get that, that those boundaries are kind of set. If you're a dismissive avoidant, or the kind of the one that's little less of, it's a combination trait of the dismissive avoidant and the preoccupied anxious attachment style. So which is the fearful avoidant. That's the middle way. It's like a spectrum between the two. And the fearful avoidant can lean either towards the dismissive side or toward the anxious, preoccupied side. Now, so let's go to the ends of the extreme. So dismissive avoidant is generally a lot of times known as a runner, and they avoid their feelings, they're slow in processing them. They tend to avoid conflict at all costs. They hate conflict, and they are lacking in communication skills, and wear masks a lot of times to hide their feelings because they feel very vulnerable in sharing those feelings for a reason. There is a reason. All these insecure attachment styles have a reason that they developed as a way to deal with kind of trauma or not great parenting skills from their caregivers. So the dismissive avoidant is often known as a runner. The anxious, preoccupied on the other end of the spectrum is known as oftentimes as a clingy person or a chaser. And the one that's in the middle of those two, the fearful or disorganized attachment style, is has both characteristics and acts in a bigger way with each of the characteristics. For instance, they don't just kind of push people away; they'll like leave town, which they'll change locations, which I find honestly in the recovering community, most people are fearful. They are more the fearful, avoidant, or disorganized attachment style. Um, those so they're created. The dismissive avoidant is more created from like a neglect of their own feelings. Their feelings were not acknowledged. They had to perform, for instance, to get their to be acknowledged or to be loved. I mean, this is not 100% of the time, but it can be enough to where like somebody ignored or neglected their feelings. And for instance, like it happens with guys a lot, that they're like, suck it up, buttercup. A caregiver can be kind of like that. Guys get that a lot. It can happen to girls too, which I have seen in the recovering community, where their emotional needs were not acknowledged. They needed to be tough, and weakness was not allowed, etc. So it can happen to women too, and I find that is pretty common in the recovering community. The other end of the spectrum, anxious preoccupied, was generally from inconsistent love and affection. Inconsistency. Sometimes it was there, sometimes it was not. So they, for instance, when a parent may be sober, and then, but if they have great parenting skills towards their child, but then maybe they drink and they turn into, it's a Jekyll Hyde situation. So it's inconsistent love and care. Now it could also happen with a parent who has to work a lot. So the parent is there when they're home, they're very attentive. They have to maybe work a lot, and the child is, maybe the parent comes home and is exhausted and can't give emotional, they don't have anything left to give the child, so it's inconsistent. They're like, oh, I can't, deal with the crying, so go to your room. Or, maybe they get spanked or something when they show emotion one time and then not another, they get a hug. So it's inconsistent. So they become, that's intermittent reward, which creates a very strong clinginess to get that love and attention. So it actually creates a clinginess, the inconsistency does. They often line up with they often couple with the fearful or disorganized or dismissive avoidant. So a fearful or disorganized, which is in between, has both of the characteristics of the anxious preoccupied and the dismissive avoidant. So they have both characteristics, and they happen to be exaggerated, if you will. So like we said, that is created more by kind of an abusive situation, a mixture of those situations. But it can be, instead of just like inconsistency or neglect, it's actually more created through maybe there was some kind of emotional, physical, sexual abuse. And that can create the fearful avoidant situation, the middle ground, if you will. And you just don't know what they're going to do. That's one reason why it's called disorganized. So another thing is that you can react differently. people do react differently in different relationships. For instance, if you couple with, let's say you're a anxious attachment style, and you couple with another maybe secure or anxious attachment style, you may become, one of the people may become fearful avoidant or dismissive avoidant because the other one's clingy and they're just not used to that. So you will react differently to generally two people who are clingy with each other. There'll not be a polarity there, if you will. There'll not be the dynamic that they're trying to recreate, which we recreate situations from our childhood that we want to heal, or we recreate situations from traumatic relationships that we want to heal. So we'll recreate that situation to heal it. Now, but if you already have, if two avoidants, get together, most likely somebody's going to start to lean towards clinginess. So they may go into fearful avoidance. Whereas with other people that are, let's say, clingy, we'll say clingy, or the gets a little confusing. With somebody who's more clingy, it's going to exacerbate the avoidance in the other person. So the idea here, how do we get out of this conundrum? It sounds like a mess. It's a hot mess. Yes, and it is often a hot mess. Because people are getting triggered everywhere. And then the relationship can just blow up, of course. And then, but this contributes to addiction, alcoholism, trying to cover up our pain. Maybe affairs are happening because there's, communication issues. People aren't feeling loved. So there can be affairs. There can be betrayal. It can just become a hot mess. And all of that then contributes, I'm going to justify, pick an argument and go out and drink. So that's how it can exacerbate addiction, alcoholism, etc., depression, and anxiety, no doubt. Relationships are huge for this, right? Because we're all like, okay, I can get money, I can have a good life, I can have a good career. What if I don't have the love that I want in a partner that sees me, that I can be happy with and have a peaceful life with? And a lot of people are like, well, what's the use of it all, right? Because you want that situation where you can have a happy, loving, stable, supportive relationship. I mean, it's a natural urge of the human being. We are social creatures. So we're wanting to move towards a secure attachment style, and that involves a lot of things. Dealing with the traumas inside that initiated an insecure attachment style. And looking at those traumas, doing the inner work, feeling our feelings. And this is going to be easier for the anxious attachment style. Anxious preoccupied. I don't know why they put the preoccupied, but they are preoccupied with the other types of the other person in the relationship generally. They're seeking external validation. So it's going to be faster for that person, maybe a little bit slower for the other, the more avoidant somebody is, the slower they generally process their feelings. But we're going to have to really get in there and work on the trauma, do the shadow work. As we release the trauma and the sting of things that happened in earlier relationships, mostly in childhood, then you're going to find that a lot of you're going to become more securely attached. You're not going to be as triggered by what other people are doing, even though you may want love. You're still not. You're going to be more. You're going to know more. It's not about you when other people are triggered. You're going to learn how to be present, and because when people have a problem, that problem is theirs. However, you can help them with these problems, if you will, and not take it on as your own. Not saying you don't look at yourself, but if you want to help someone to if you can, if it's not enabling, if you will, and it's not causing you to do something that is outside of your ability or adds a lot of tension in your life, you have to decide that. But that's some of the things that we're going to cover in this channel, and I would like for you to leave a comment with questions so I know what I need to be more clear about and cover, so that you can start to go into a more effective communication style in your relationship, and ask for what you want and need, even if that's more space. Sometimes if you're an avoidant, you may need more space, healthy space, to figure out your feelings or to calm down, because that's what happens to a lot of the avoidance, is that they are actually highly triggered, they just don't show it. Whereas the the other end, the anxious attachment, does show it, and that can really trigger the avoidance to say, hey, calm down, I can't deal with this. They have a smaller bandwidth of emotions that they like to deal with. They regulate their emotions by themselves. Anxious attachment styles co-regulate with others. That's what that means. So maybe you need that, but we've got to talk about the way that communication happens in the relationship. So that's something to learn. So please ask the questions. We do need to talk about how to communicate and when to communicate. There's a lot to talk about there. Please let me know. Like, share, subscribe. Please comment, ask the questions so I can know what needs to be covered first. I am an addiction professional and a master level addiction professional. I am a therapist, been one for a few years, and I've got a lot of experience in recovery, in the recovering community. And so sign up on my newsletter, check out the links, and email me if you like, and for some personal coaching. And you have a blessed day. We'll talk soon. See you next time.